Thank you for watching Scary Bear Attacks. If you like this episode, please remember to hit the like button and leave a comment or two, then subscribe and click on the bell to receive notifications of whenever we release new videos. Also, please remember to share them to your social media.
Welcome back to Scary Bear Attacks. In today's episode, we explore the remote and rugged Admiral T Island in Alaska. Admiral T Island is known for its dense bear population, and the encounter that unfolded here reminds us how quickly a peaceful hunt can turn into a battle for survival. Admiral T Island is part of the Tongass National Forest, the largest temperate rainforest in the world. This island, known to the Tlingit people as Kutsnawu, meaning Fortress of the Bears, is home to one of the densest populations of brown bears in North America. The island spans nearly 1,700 square miles, and there's approximately one bear for every single square mile. Its remote location, just 15 miles southwest of Juneau, makes it a prime spot for hunters seeking deer, but it's also a hotbed for bear activity. The terrain is characterized by steep slopes, dense forests of Sitka spruce and western hemlock, and muskeg, a swampy forested area full of thick brush. These conditions create a perfect habitat for both bears and black-tailed deer, which are a common target for hunters. Admiral T Island's climate is wet and cool, with an average rainfall of over 100 inches per year, contributing to the lush vegetation that surrounds the island's wildlife. Aside from brown bears and black-tailed deer, the island also hosts numerous berry species, which include salmonberries, blueberries, and huckleberries. Each berry species has its own fruit-bearing season, which overlaps with each other and provides bears an alternate food source to the deer and hopefully the people. These natural resources not only sustain the island's wildlife, but also draw humans into bear territory, leading to the potential for conflict. On Sunday, October 6, 2024, Amanda Compton, a 44-year-old resident of Juneau, was an experienced hunter who spent countless days in the Alaska wilderness. She often hunted with her longtime friend Nicholas Orr, 45, who is equally familiar with the remote backcountry of Admiral T Island. Both are seasoned outdoors people, carrying rifles and other essential gear, prepared for the challenges of hunting in one of the wildest corners of North America. On this particular day, the pair had set out for what they assumed would be a typical hunt for black-tailed deer. However, even experienced hunters know that no matter how well prepared they are, nature is unpredictable. As they ventured deeper into the muskeg, they had no idea that their path would soon intersect with a protective mother bear. Amanda and Nicholas had been trekking through the dense brush for about an hour and a half, carefully making their way through the difficult terrain of the muskeg. The thick vegetation made it difficult to see far ahead, and this lack of visibility made them cautious. Making noise while moving through it would frighten deer, so the hunters moved as silently and slowly as possible. Without warning, Amanda came face to face with a brown bear sow and her cubs, likely foraging in the area. In an instant, the mother bear charged. In the fraction of a second that it took the sow to cover the ground between them, the hunters had next to no options to adequately defend themselves. As the sow's paws churned through the muddy muskeg, Amanda and Nicholas could only yell and hope the sow would break off her charge in a bluff. Amanda had no time to react beyond instinctively dropping to the ground and curling into a ball, covering her head with her arms, a position taught in bear safety training. The bear's powerful jaws clamped down on Amanda's head, the immense pressure causing a 6-inch laceration on her scalp. As the bear continued its attack, it clawed at her back, leaving deep, painful gashes. Nicholas, who'd been walking just a few feet behind her, lost his footing in the chaos. He quickly regained his balance and fired a shot at the bear, hitting her and causing the animal to retreat. The situation was far from over, however. As Nicholas fired his shot, he noticed a bear cub perched in a nearby tree, likely the reason for the mother bear's aggressive behavior. With her cubs nearby, the sow had been defending her little ones. After the bear retreated, now injured, the hunters assessed Amanda's injuries. She'd sustained significant wounds, including a 6-inch gash on her skull, a 4-inch laceration on the back of her head, and a puncture wound on her hand. Pictures of her wounds would not pass YouTube guidelines, so they've been uploaded for your review to my Patreon account, linked in the video article below this video. Despite the severity of her injuries, the two hunters decided to make their way back to the boat. The return hike took over an hour, and Amanda's condition was critical, though she managed to hold on. Amanda and Nicholas reached their boat and returned to Juneau, where Amanda was taken to the hospital for immediate treatment. Doctors removed a 2-millimeter shard of a bear tooth embedded in her skull, a stark reminder of the very close call she'd just survived. Despite her injuries, Amanda is expected to make a full recovery. The pair's quick thinking and preparedness likely saved her life. As for the bear, after the attack, the area was scouted by wildlife officials. The sow, though injured, had moved far enough away to avoid being found. Her cubs were also not located, but the incident serves as a reminder of the delicate balance between humans and wildlife in Alaska's wilderness. Speaking of cubs, our Cub Tier membership on Patreon, linked below, will give you ad-free early access to our episodes, and the $3 per month goes a long way in helping me continue to produce educational and entertaining content like this. Encounters like Amanda's are classified as defensive attacks, which occur when a bear feels its cubs or food source is threatened. Brown bears, particularly sows with cubs, are extremely protective. The dense vegetation of Admiral T Island likely contributed to the suddenness of this encounter, giving the bear little warning of the hunter's approach. Brown bears are also known as coastal grizzlies and can weigh between 600 and 1,500 pounds, and are powerful predators, capable of running up to 35 miles per hour. As Alaska's bear population grows, interactions between bears and humans are becoming more frequent, especially in areas like Admiral T Island, where both share the land. According to the Alaska Department of Fish and Game, brown bear attacks are rare, but tend to occur in areas where humans and bears compete for resources, particularly during the hunting season when bears are also foraging before hibernation. Admiral T Island is home to approximately 1,600 brown bears, with an estimated density of 1 bear per square mile. This makes it one of the most densely populated bear regions in North America. In comparison, bear populations in other parts of Alaska are much lower, making Admiral T Island a hotspot for bear encounters. Over the past decade, Alaska has seen an average of 2 to 3 bear attacks annually, with most being non-fatal. While encounters are not uncommon, fatalities are rare due to the high level of awareness and preparedness among hunters and outdoor enthusiasts. Amanda's encounter, while terrifying, is one of many that showcase the unpredictability of bear behavior, especially when cubs are involved. After reviewing the facts surrounding this episode, I'm left with a few questions for you. Could Amanda and Nicholas have avoided the attack by making more noise as they move through the dense muskeg? What role does bear awareness training play in preventing serious injuries or fatalities in bear country? Is it realistic to venture into bear territory and not expect a confrontation, or are hunters and hikers playing the odds? I will gladly read and reply to your thoughts, so post them in the comments section below, and let's talk about it. Welcome back to Scary Bear Attacks. Today's story takes us to Lake City, Colorado, a small town in the San Juan Mountains. The elevation of the town is around 8,600 feet high, but the peaks surrounding it soar to over 13,000 feet. The steep valleys between the peaks are crowded with dense forests of lodgepole pine, Engelmann spruce, quaking aspen, and Douglas fir trees. Beautiful flowers from columbine, Indian paintbrush, and lupine display their glory between waves of sagebrush. Beneath the forest canopy, bushes like Oregon grapes, elderberries, gooseberries, and currants offer up their sugary treats in their season. Because the area has a high elevation, summers are cooler than other areas, rarely reaching into the 80s. The winters here are cold and snowy, with temperatures staying below zero for much of the winter. Animals that roam the hills around town include elk and deer, with beautiful songbirds displaying their lovely feathers for bird watchers. Predators in this area include bobcats, coyotes, cougars, and an ever-growing population of hungry and dangerous black bears. In the early evening of Thursday, October 3rd, 2024, a 74-year-old man whom we'll refer to as Randy was at home with some guests. As the group relaxed in the living room, a loud thud rattled the house. Randy had no idea what the thunderous noise may have been and headed to the rear of the dining room where the noise had come from. Rounding the corner, Randy's eyes were filled with an alarming and dangerous sight. 4 black bears were just inside the sliding glass door at the back of the house. He knew he had left it cracked a few inches to allow fresh air into the home, and quickly determined the loud noise was the door being flung open by the sow. Randy knew he was facing a dangerous sow bear and her 3 large cubs. They were large enough to kill him if he made the wrong move, like startling them or cornering them in a location with no escape. He decided he would use a chair to shepherd the bears back outside and slowly slid it across the floor toward the bears. With the chair positioned between himself and the bears, Randy calmly and slowly moved toward them. He expected them to assess their options, thinking they had entered the home by mistake. Instead of turning around and leaving, the sow took exception to Randy approaching her and her cubs. She lurched the few feet between them in a protective attack on behalf of her cubs. The chair didn't do much in the way of protecting Randy from the sow's anger. She bowled into the man, sending him crashing against the wall. Losing his balance, Randy slipped onto his back, and the angry sow stood over him before he could attempt to regain his feet. Now aware the bears were not going to leave and were attacking him, Randy raised his hands out toward the sow to ward off her claws and jaws. She swatted at his arms, opening up gashes that ran several inches in length down both arms. As he kicked at her, she clamped onto his calf and left 4 painful and bleeding holes where her canine teeth punched through his flesh. She turned her attack to his abdomen and bit into his gut before biting onto the flesh of his shoulder. As she bit him, she swatted Randy's head and neck, gashing his tissues wherever her claws touched. With so many wounds being rendered to his body so quickly, Randy knew if he stayed put, she would kill him. He squirmed his way out from under her and stumbled back toward the rest of his guests. The people ran into a bedroom down the hallway and locked the door behind them, hoping the bears wouldn't continue pursuing Randy or anyone else. Randy and his guests could hear the bears knocking dishes and chairs around near the kitchen as they called 911 for help. They knew Randy needed medical attention immediately, but their primary concern was for their safety. Although the police arrived quickly, the sow had already left the home, but her 3 large cubs remained in the home. Police officers and medics made noise and shouted to drive the bears out of the home before they rendered first aid to Randy's wounds. As the medics worked on slowing Randy's bleeding and assessing his condition, he decided he'd had enough of the whole affair. He suddenly waved off all help and refused to be taken to the hospital by the ambulance. While the medics worked on Randy inside the home, police and wildlife officers used flashlights to locate the bears. After a brief discussion, wildlife officials determined that all 4 bears would need to be euthanized, as they demonstrated clear and dangerous behavior toward humans and had been food conditioned. If the bears weren't conditioned to human sources of food, then it may have been possible for them to return to the forest and live normal lives, but that just wasn't in the cards. One by one, each bear was dispatched by the wildlife officers. Their bodies were collected and taken to the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Laboratory in Fort Collins for analysis. Every detail of their health would be examined, and a panel of tests measuring disease would be utilized. This attack was clearly a case of food-conditioned bears invading a home in search of food. The sow didn't attack to protect her cubs as much as she did to protect and defend what she determined was her food source. She and her cubs had an easy escape route, and none of her cubs were threatened by Randy's actions. Speaking of cubs, our Cub Tier membership on Patreon, linked below, will give you ad-free early access to our episodes. The $3 per month goes a long way in helping me continue producing educational and entertaining content like this. According to CPW Area Wildlife Manager Brandon Diamond, there was no question that those were the bears involved, and unfortunately the decision to euthanize them was necessary for public safety. As he explained, when a bear reaches this level of human habituation, a lot of interaction with people has already happened. This tragic situation highlights the consequences of bears becoming too comfortable around human activity. This incident was the first bear attack in Colorado in 2024, with 6 reported attacks occurring the previous year. Since 1960, there have been 96 reported bear attacks on humans in this state. There are reportedly between 17,000 and 20,000 black bears in Colorado, and the state spans an area of 103,000 square miles. This puts bear density at 1 black bear for every 5 square miles, including urban areas. Bear encounters in areas like Hinsdale County, where Lake City is located, have become increasingly common, with CPW receiving 8 reports of bear activity in the area before this attack. However, many incidents go unreported, with people often discussing them on social media without alerting authorities, as was the case here. After reviewing the facts surrounding this episode, I'm left with a few questions for you. Could this attack have been prevented if the sliding glass door had been securely shut, especially during hyperphagia, when bears are actively foraging? Should communities in bear-prone areas adopt stricter rules on securing garbage and food sources to prevent these tragic encounters? What more can be done to educate the public on reporting bear activity to wildlife authorities before it escalates to a dangerous level? The next time you're enjoying the cool evening air, will you make sure to secure your doors after you finish? I will, without a doubt. I will gladly read and reply to your thoughts, so post them in the comments section below, and let's talk about it. Welcome back to Scary Bear Attacks. Today's episode takes us to the remote and rugged Weminuche Wilderness in southwestern Colorado and the towering peaks of the San Juan National Forest. The forest is an expansive wilderness area known for its steep terrain, dense forests, and abundant wildlife. The Weminuche Wilderness, located within the forest, offers some of the most remote and pristine backcountry experiences in the state. It's a prime spot for grazing allotments, where sheep and cattle herders manage livestock in the high country during the summer months. Elevation in the forest ranges from 5,000 feet to over 14,000 feet, which creates a geography dotted with alpine lakes and crystal clear springs. The Continental Divide splits the Rocky Mountains in the San Juans, creating a watershed that runs from coast to coast. The San Juan consists of beautiful forests of ponderosa pine, Engelmann spruce, subalpine fir, Douglas fir, and quaking aspen. The ground floor of the forest is covered with berry bushes such as wild raspberry, thimbleberry, huckleberry, and serviceberry that offer up their sweet and nutritious fruits in their various seasons. Animals that roam the valleys include elk, moose, and mule deer, with bighorn sheep and mountain goats balancing on the peaks. The most dangerous members of the forest are predators like bobcats, coyotes, cougars, and black bears. This part of Colorado, although beautiful, is also home to predators like the aforementioned black bears, which roam the wilderness in search of food, particularly during late summer and fall, when they are preparing for hibernation. Each bear needs to average consuming 20,000 calories each day of the year that they are not hibernating to put on enough fat for survival. This makes them opportunistic and voracious consumers of anything from carrion to the young of other animals, from mushrooms to roots, and from berries to flowers. The abundance of sheep and other livestock in the area make it an attractive spot for opportunistic bears, setting the stage for human-wildlife conflict. Colorado has a long history of bear-human conflict, especially in areas where bears and humans coexist, near natural food sources or livestock. In recent years, the state has seen a rise in bear sightings and reports. In 2021, CPW reported more than 4,000 bear incidents and 2,400 bear sightings across the state. These incidents range from bears raiding garbage bins to more severe situations like this one, where a bear attacks livestock or humans. Just after 3 a.m. on Tuesday, September 11th, 2023, a 35-year-old sheep herder, whom we'll call Don, awoke to a disturbance at his camp near Lemon Reservoir, approximately 23 miles northeast of Durango. The shepherd could hear the sound of the sheep bleating and running as the guard dogs barked their alarm. He knew it could only be a handful of possibilities, and grabbed his .30-30 rifle as he stumbled into the dark. Beneath the moonlit sky, Don could make out his sheep dashing about and could see the Great Pyrenees dogs that protected the herd chasing a shadow. The guard dogs were not intimidating this persistent black bear, as it continually alternated between chasing the sheep and swatting at the dogs. It was rare that he would have to chase away a bear, but generally they would leave as soon as he appeared, if not before. But this bear was different. It was much more determined than other bears, possibly even desperate. Don knew he had to take action, or he may lose his entire herd in a panicked rush around the mountain. He drew down on the shadow and fired at what he estimated was its rib cage. Only about 30 yards away from the man, the bear was sent toppling to the ground, only to roll back to its feet and directly toward the shepherd. It is terrifying enough to see an angry bear running toward you in the daytime, but at night, the shadowy figure floating across the ground at a speed that boggles your mind must be even more so. As the bear approached Don, it launched itself into the air and tackled him to the ground. Don felt the crushing weight of the bear as it pressed him to the ground. As he screamed and twisted to get away, the bear bit onto his hip and punched holes as big as his fingers through his flesh. As he squirmed in pain, the bear clamped its jaws onto his arm and crunched through bones and muscle. Moving to finish Don off, its final attack focused on his head. The bear drove its teeth through his scalp and tore deep and painful gashes. It isn't clear if the dogs drove the bear off or the entire situation forced it to change its mind. Either way, the bear disappeared into the night, leaving Don bleeding, in pain, and fading in and out of consciousness. After a few minutes, Don gathered his wits and began pulling himself across the ground toward his tent. Using his cell phone, he contacted one of his relatives and relayed his dire circumstances. Don's relative contacted authorities and reported the bear attack on the shepherd. Emergency services were notified and rushed to his camp. Upon arriving at the sheep camp, an initial assessment of Don's injuries labeled his condition as serious. A medical helicopter arrived soon after his bleeding was under control. The flight took him to Mercy Regional Medical Center in Durango before he was sent to a hospital in Grand Junction for more specialized care. While he was at Mercy Regional, wildlife professionals gathered DNA evidence from bear saliva on his clothes to identify the bear who had attacked him. Comparison to samples collected at snares and culvert traps they planned to place in the area would ensure they would find and kill the culprit while not killing uninvolved bears. While Don was being ferried to the hospital, wildlife officers converged on his camp. They located a blood trail leading away from it and brought in bloodhounds to follow the wounded bear. Along with the blood trail, they found Don's rifle and 2 dead sheep. The bear's blood trail led them for an incredible 70 miles through rugged wilderness before they cornered it near the Florida River. It was humanely dispatched with little doubt of its guilt given its blood trail. Its motives were purely predatory regarding the sheep, if not Don as well, as it was a male and was not defending cubs. Speaking of cubs, our Cub Tier membership on Patreon, linked below, will give you ad-free early access to our episodes. And the $3 per month goes a long way in helping me continue to produce educational and entertaining content like this. A necropsy was performed on the bear's carcass. It was found to be an 8-year-old male of a healthy weight around 250 pounds. On its claws, DNA evidence from Don and the sheep it had killed was collected for confirmation. After reviewing the facts surrounding this episode, I'm left with a few questions for you. What could Don have done to prevent or avoid this attack? Should sheep herders in bear country have more protection like electric fencing or bear deterrence? And with the rising number of bear incidents in Colorado, what steps can be taken to balance conservation efforts with public safety? I will gladly read and reply to your thoughts, so post them in the comments section below, and let's talk about it.
Thank you for watching Scary Bear Attacks. If you've enjoyed this episode, please consider clicking on the like button and clicking on the bell icon. We'll help you know when we post our new episodes. Posting our video links to your social media profiles furthers awareness, and it's fun. We slashed our prices in our merch store, linked below, so check out the bargains there while you shop. As a member of our human community, remember to adventure bravely and be careful out there, especially in bear country.